time for the shop report with
Barbershop Jay.
And we have arrived.
What up, sports fans? This is the Shop Report special presentation of the Turnbuckle. And we have a lot to break down this evening. Of course, we are approaching 15 minutes until night 2 of the 2024 WWE Draft.
Yes.
And amongst a very action-packed Friday and weekend. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host, D. Gully from the Columbus.
Welcome.
Talk to me. What's happening?
Welcome, fans, and welcome, friends. Thank you for tuning in to the Turnbuckle Shop Report special. Thank you again for having me here. Had a pretty busy weekend. Didn't stop me from at least keeping my ear to some of the developments here in the world of professional wrestling. I'm excited to be here, man. Let's just get right to it, bro.
Absolutely. Without further ado, a lot transpired last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Including a name that sounds very familiar, but that's taken on new life.
Okay.
New meaning.
A new name, huh?
The acronym
RKO. Oh, yeah. What is this?
So last Friday, there was an assault taking place on Kevin Owens by the new leaders of the bloodline.
New or interim?
I believe that is to be determined. So another acronym.
The TBD, the bloodline TBD.
and look, I'm here for all the smoke, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm watching the assault unfold, and I'm asking myself, who's going to come to this man's aid, right? Is it Sami Zayn? Is it Dark Chad Gable? Heel Gable? Who? Gunther? Is it Imperium? Who's going to come save him? No, it's none other than the Viper himself that had seen enough, and they come in and clean house.
Yeah.
With the bloodline.
Yeah.
What do you say about this new duo?
RKO. I tend to like it. I want to know from their perspective, though. Well, particularly, I want to know from Randy Orton. Why him? Like, why was it him that decided, he's seen enough of this? What is the long game for him? What is it that that really bothers him? Why doesn't he look at it from the point of, Kevin Owens got himself into something. I got other things to fry. Like, isn't he busy somewhere else? And if not, then why did this get his interest? You know what I mean?
It's interesting, right? Because this thing kind of spilled on to the ring itself, if you will. This started with, women arguing with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. And all of a sudden Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga just are brawling onto the stage. So they come out with no music, right? No, and it then leads to the ring, in which case this is where you see, Solo and of course he's doing his, he just absolutely waylaying him. And the thing is, Tonga and Solo also not only were beating down Owens, the referees, officials, security, just about anybody. And that's when that music, that classic music hits, and the Viper comes in and saves the day. So I completely, yep.
I need you to rewind something back. Well, actually, okay. You know what? There's something you said here. We're gonna finish what you're talking about here with Randy Orton, RKO. But I want to come back to something you said, something you skipped over that I need to make sure I heard correctly. But anyway, as you were.
Yes. So again, there were 4 women arguing, and then they came out, those two, with Kevin Owens getting beaten down, and the beatdown continued. Multiple lines of reinforcement to try to settle the 3 again at that point, from Solo Sikoa also being involved.
Oh yeah.
And that's when Randy Orton came in, kind of evened things out, and ultimately got I guess stabilized, the current circumstances at that point in time, and came to Kevin Owens' aid.
Gotcha. So we just needed somebody to break it up. And what better way to break it up than the legend killer, the Viper, Randy Orton himself. I like it. I actually kind of like it.
I'm with you though, that I'm thrilled by this. It's a duo that I didn't necessarily ever see coming.
Right.
And to your point, why now? Why, was this Randy just somehow, again, this is the same Randy Orton. Didn't he try to, weren't they kind of buddies of Mania? And then he tried to RKO him?
Well, remember, you're all buddies until you're trying to get the prize. And if he didn't do it first, at what point would Kevin Owens have tried to sneak a stunner in there? Right? He wouldn't beat Kevin Owens if he didn't. So and it was a great moment. It was a funny moment, and you had to respect it. If you're Kevin Owens, it's like, you know what? I'd take my shot too. But in the end, it's still me we talking about. So we gotta get busy. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it. And I think the competitive nature of it, right, is what Randy Orton sort of respect, I think has a great deal of respect for. So for that reason, I can see why Randy Orton is coming to the side, to even it. Because actually, I'll put it this way: who else would be interested in helping Kevin Owens? Who else would be interested? Is he going to be one that settled it? Himself. I mean, he could get Sami Zayn back there, but he's a bit busy. So why not Randy Orton? Why not having that level? Why not having that type of persona presence backing you up? Somebody who can hold their own, somebody who's capable of offing them, who can definitely interrupt a title run, a title match. I think it's cool to see. I will say though, I want to know what the long game is. Like, how long would this last? Are they just here just to keep the bloodline busy while one Mr. Roman Reigns enjoys Disneyland?
Right. Yes, I saw that as well. His disguise was terrible.
Oh man, it was fitting. But listen, I got to ask you a question. Who was arguing before Kevin Owens?
So there was a number one contenders match that had taken place
number one
prior.
contenders. Oh, so that means okay. Go ahead.
Which was, or better yet, just the you had kind of Kyla Braxton, and this is also, you know, you had Solo Sikoa, who kind of had a cut segment with, you know, in between draft picks here.
Okay.
So it was, Kayla Braxton and Bianca Belair, and then Braxton notes that, you know, kind of Bianca and Jade will challenge the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag championships, right?
Okay. Yep.
And Bianca, of course, defends her partner to say, you know, saying she's the perfect person to end Damage Control.
Right.
And she hopes that Jade would go to SmackDown on day 2.
Yeah.
And that's when the Kabuki Warriors naturally walked out and started the back and forth, if you will.
Oh, okay.
At which point, then kind of spilling in between all of them. So it just really was kind of emphasizing that it was just pure chaos taking place last Friday.
I thought that you were going to say, again, having missed it this last Friday, so I wasn't aware. I thought you were going to say that Bianca and Jade got to arguing with each other.
You know, we've been right on quite a few things.
Yeah.
But if we would have nailed that within, not even 7 days?
Yeah. But it's still coming. That's why I say I just hope I wasn't there to miss it. Like, listen, they've got to clear everybody out, and then it just be them two. Man, I'm telling you what.
But they haven't, remember, they're still, their eyes are on the tag team prize for now.
Right. Right.
So I'm with you on that because that's a fantastic point. I brought up a number one contenders match intentionally because I knew we were kind of heading that direction. We did see Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, at which point, of course, Bayley gets involved. Nia Jax gets involved, and again, chaos continued. Right, I don't even want to say like it ensued. It already
ensued. No, it continued. Right. Chaos continued.
So I did want to ask though, because we've talked a lot about the women's division, and obviously we even prophesized a few things here or there.
Yeah.
But seeing Nia Jax come out there and just steamroll Bayley.
Right.
Where again, she wasn't a part of this number one contenders match, but do you think that, you know, not only has she entered the chat, but do you take her a little bit more serious on where she may go with this?
Nia Jax?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. She's not there for filler, right? She's part of the. That's not a side quest. She's part of the main story. Well, I gotta watch how I say it. Nia Jax. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know if you want those problems. I've talked about wanting all the smoke.
I didn't know that I don't. Nia Jax. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But nonetheless, I will say, no. She's part of the main. That's the main story, right? Like I said, I theorize Bianca and Jade running roughshod over the rest of the division, coming together to, let's say, move aside to eliminate the threat that is Nia Jax, and then be alone at the top of the women's division, whereby the only prize left is a title. Now they can pick whose title. So wait a minute, these are SmackDown. They're both SmackDown. No, wait, hold on. Did either of them get drafted? Who got drafted? One of them went to Raw, right?
We will get there. We will get there.
Okay. So I still think it's a case where they'll end up recognizing that they are the only ones standing in each other's way for absolute greatness, right? People come into this business. Superstars come into this business with the idea of being the best at the top. I don't think in the heart of hearts, unless you got to find me a wrestler, the personality, not named Marty Jannetty, that wanted to be known as the best tag team wrestler ever.
You know, coincidentally, shout out to Marty Jannetty. I'm pretty sure we're Facebook friends.
Yeah.
So, by all means, small world, right?
Right.
When, if you ever get bored, Marty, on a Monday,
Come
not
see
as
us.
entertaining as some of his kind of, it's his normal day-to-day from what I've seen. But I'd be more than willing to hear his thoughts. In addition to that, we're going to take a quick. We'll take a full timeout here.
Full timeout.
Yeah, we're going to dive right into what Gully was talking about, which is Nia Jax and where she ended up.
Nia Jax
with night 1 of the WWE 2024 draft in the books, and night 2 is about to be upon us.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jordan Gudeman, and I'm the founder and CEO of Eddie G's Cookies. I was first diagnosed with a nut allergy when I was young. At the time, there weren't a lot of labeled items that said if there may contain nuts or there are nuts in the food, so my brother and sister and I baked a lot at home, and we enjoyed treats from mixes and things like that, but I noticed that it was not the same as what my friends were enjoying, and I started making up my own recipes. When it was time to pick a career, I decided to start a bakery so I could share my treats with everybody else. When I started creating my recipe, I was taking in all the things that I thought I was missing out on. A soft, chewy center, a crisp outside crust, and a taste that is just like it came out of the oven at a bakery. When I put all those things together, I had come up with a recipe for a dream cookie. Eddie G's Cookies only uses the finest ingredients. We have all natural flavorings, no preservatives, and every cookie is made in a nut-free environment. The best part about Eddie G's Cookies is that they can be delivered right to your door. You can share them or not. We won't tell.
All right, and just like that, we are back. And so, as I promised, the WWE Draft has taken place, at least night 1, and we have all of those picks to break down with you together here. We want to get your thoughts as well. I know there's viewers currently from Meta, YouTube, as well as Twitter. So by all means, feel free to share your thoughts on what's going on today in the topics that we have. Always more than welcome. We'll put you right up on the screen there and get a live reaction. And so, but you know what? I'm going to actually intervene here.
Okay.
I've seen, we've been awfully critical of Cody Rhodes and his title defense, or lack thereof. On Friday, you may have missed it. Someone that was drafted to SmackDown was none other than Carmelo Hayes.
Okay, right. I did.
And he was somehow, despite I thought AJ Styles being the number 1 contender, was able to leapfrog and get a title match. That was actually a quality match.
Well,
so my question to you is this.
All right.
As critical as we've been, and if we really want to count all of them, because I've seen some, there's a new champ over on the other program. What did they call that? Arena Empty Wrestling or something like that.
Yeah, really.
On that program, and I, being facetious, but they had their champion.
Okay.
Has had 3 matches in 3 weeks, and so if just to point out, just make sure I cover my base and not get ridiculed here in the comment section.
Okay.
Cody did defend his title on 3 consecutive occasions against Shinsuke Nakamura in those dark matches while they were in the UK.
Right.
So technically it's 4v3. But
you said 4 title defenses?
For Cody, yes, in total, if we wanted to really call it that.
So I always ask this question for you, man.
Yeah.
How do you want to proceed? Like, are we working this or are we shooting on this?
I'm asking you. I'm just pointing out the facts on this, and I was gonna let you we're at a fork in the road, and I'll let you choose if it's a spork or if it's a metal fork. All right.
All right, for sure.
If we or better yet, we'll go spoon because we'll come full circle.
Okay.
Is it the
I don't want to go spoon with you. I just want to let you know that you need to
fair enough.
All right. Just let you know that right now. The answer is no. Okay. Double J. The answer is no.
Are you satisfied with our champion who has paraded around and now technically defended his title 4 times, albeit to 2 opponents, and allowing anybody to get that John Cena shot? What are we doing here?
See, his title run reminds me of Bret Hart's 95, 94, 95. His title run reminds me of that one, and I can see why Ric Flair says that he wasn't a draw. In the era of soap operas, what Bret Hart did was Bret Hart was the good guy, the hero that gave everybody a shot. And so when we talk about this business or the presentation of it being emotionally driven, you have to have some type of angst. There isn't angst yet. Perhaps it's because maybe they're building the next great foil for Cody Rhodes. They're building someone as despised as Cody Rhodes is loved. I don't know. But for me, because we had so much of this story that withdrew him from the promotion for years to draw back now, and then to have a guy in Roman Reigns that was hated so much that he became loved, but then to have championship glory, to have vindication taken from him, and then to wait a year and then have someone like the final boss interrupt, which should have been a straightforward finishing of said story. We have so much emotion invested into him now. It would only serve that has the title run. There's somebody crying foul, and we don't have that yet.
See, that's not you. You're not crying foul here with Cody Rhodes.
I am, because it's like, all right, I want to see the victory lap, but you gave me such a story. It sounds like this to me is like the run that John Cena needs to make before he retires, or the run that AJ Styles needs to make before they retire. They got on top, and now they're giving everybody a shot to see what they could do before they ride off into the sunset. This is a retirement run. I want to see who's crying foul, who's like, nah, Cody, it shouldn't have been you, it should have been me. Where's that guy? To give me something emotionally to draw Cody back into the frame of mind of somebody that can go after it. Someone that's fighting off yet somebody else who's saying that they deserve it and not me, right? Cody saying I deserve it. Now everyone's saying he deserves it. It doesn't ring true to me. It doesn't ring effective to me. Like, Cody deserves to be like, you know what? I deserve it. Let me show you I deserve it. Let me prove to you why. Get what I'm saying? I don't want to see him shaking hands. He's the American nightmare. Why is that? Make that so.
So it's so interesting that you said that, because at the conclusion of the match, of course, Cody won, and he does his good guy routine, as we'll call it.
Yeah.
Kind of whispers something, kind of does his best yin yang twins and whispers something in his ear. And it sounded like, based on the look in his eye, that he told him something he wanted to hear. Again, a lot of it.
No. I'm right with you. I'm not steering off into weird.
Well, no, coincidentally, that actually fit.
Right. It did fit. Let me not take your moment. My bad.
No, you hey, look, you segued with it and it was perfect.
Yeah.
So much so I wasn't ready for it. And of course, at that point, AJ Styles enters the ring.
Okay.
Cody does turn around in time before an attack were to take place. But then it gets interesting.
Okay, how so?
He says, I was this close to attacking you. And instead of fighting it out, they shake hands.
Okay. So this is the guy that they're building. They're building the respectful champion. Okay, so this is the build. Because
please, yeah, continue. Go.
So they want him to be the man of the people. Home respect, the handshake champion. Like, where's the handshake t-shirts? The handshake. Right. Just be two handshakes, and then one of them just have, like, does Cody have any tattoos on his arms, on hands, or anything? He don't have
I thought he had that the one for his dad.
On his hand?
Something like that.
Does he have something on his hand?
Taped, I thought.
Huh?
His hands are taped. I thought.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna give me a WWE, please feel free to just show him some love. You got to give me a handshake, Cody Rhodes signature tape, the handshake champion, right? The gentleman's champion. Not the people's champion, the gentleman's champion, right? Because this is who they're building up. There's like, okay, he's so good, I don't want to disrespect him because he's on the up and up. You know what I mean? Who's going to be like, so what with that? I'm taking any opportunity I can get. Maybe they're waiting for the Money in the Bank guy to show up. Maybe they're waiting for whomever that is, right? Whenever they have Money in the Bank this year.
But wait a minute. Wait a freaking minute.
Yeah.
Gully.
Yeah.
You have a number one contender. And then the NXT champ at one point in time gets his shot. The hands. What are we declaring a thumb war here? Like, what is going on?
No. See, all right. The 1-2-3 Kid had a WWF title shot versus Bret Hart in 1990. Wasn't it 95 or 94? On Raw, nonetheless. You remember that match? At one point, I'm cringing
right now. That's why I'm off camera.
Right. At one point, Bret Hart got the pin and the ref rang the bell, but Bret Hart came over to the bell and said, nah, he had his foot on the rope. Like, you don't remember that match? Historians, you got to remember that match. I know you remember.
Absolutely.
That match. Okay. So this is what we're setting up here. I mean, what's old is new again. Nothing, nothing is new under the sun. So I see that them setting this up, right? Now, I remember what I said a few moments ago. I said that there's a reason why Ric Flair didn't buy into Bret Hart as champion. He is like, he never sold. And as an adult, more closer to Ric Flair's age then than I am, as a kid, I see what he's saying. Like, we want good guys, really, but do we really want good guys? We want the good guys to win, but we don't want them to just exist. Not when we're talking about the drama-filled, story-driven world of professional wrestling. right? It's the reason why certain adults hated John Cena, but the kids loved him. But we loved Stone Cold. We loved The Rock. We even had a healthy respect for The Undertaker. We loved HBK. We loved Edge. We loved The Game. We ain't really feel all that great about Cena. We love.
Whoa. Lois, this is not my Batman glass.
Lois, this is not my Batman mug. Right. It's true, man. Think about it. Think about it. You in your adulthood. Did you really enjoy that run from Cena? Now, understand this. Here's what I need to caution. I'm talking about the story. Has it played out at the time? I'm not looking at the whole bag on a collective sense, like the healthy respect that I have from Cena with hindsight. I'm talking about during its time, in its run. Did you kind of get like, man, come on.
Now, but wait a minute. This is why I'm asking, because there's conveniently John Cena is actually a perfect example.
Okay.
Are we talking, which John Cena are we referring to? The never give up guy?
Yeah, we definitely not talking about Thugonomics John Cena. Right.
Because coincidentally,
yeah,
if you remember, to kind of segue this into our next topic, which is, Roman Reigns, who's clearly off in Disney World.
Yep.
has declared himself ineligible for the draft. He has voluntarily removed himself.
How? Like, that to me sounds like, ooh, how dare you? How can you make yourself? Yeah, right. How dare, like, why aren't we hearing Motorhead coming on the speakers to talk about, you know what, and bringing Paul Heyman down and say, you know what, you don't get to declare anything. You are where the business, you are where you are drafted. You don't get to decide as champion emeritus that you're not going to participate in a draft. That's what I'm saying. If I want to play with that, right? If I want to play with that angle, if I want to create something, I would do that. But no, they just kind of like let it go. Like, oh yeah, he could not pick. Well, you know what? I don't want to go to SmackDown. How about that? I'm fine on Monday.
Well, and that's just surreal to me. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another minute, and then we're gonna dive into what that reminded me of.
Okay.
SK Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Harvey Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
It's Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop.
We're back.
SK Cunningham, and you watching the Shop Report. I'm Harvey Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Murray, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
It's Max McKee, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Manworth from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report. How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
And we're back.
All right. And so without further ado, we have the draftees and the movement of Friday night. And
Okay.
with Roman Reigns volunteering, just, putting himself out there for the world to see and saying, I'm not eligible here. It brought me back to 2011.
Whoa.
And if you remember, there was a draft that took place then.
Mm-hmm.
And on night one, a champion moved. And that champion, of course, was who you had mentioned a moment ago. Thugonomics, John Cena.
Yeah.
And now it lived for the weekend. And it made some headlines during that. But then it came to a screeching halt. So my question to you is, with the announcement both by Roman, but then also declaring that all champions are not eligible to exchange hands, or in this case, shows, what impact does that have on the overall quality of the draft for you?
It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't have an impact on me, like a negative impact. I can't say it's positive. I think it's inconsequential. It would make sense for me that brand champions stay on brand, right? Otherwise, you do have confusion, right? If I'm not mistaken, at one point in this drafting history, there was a scenario was created where both top titles were on the same brand at a time, right? Didn't SmackDown have both the Raw and SmackDown champion?
At one point, yes.
Yeah. So right. So what did Raw have to offer if they didn't necessarily have a brand champion to represent them on Monday nights? Like, why would the Raw champion be on SmackDown?
So, wait a minute. We've said on more than one occasion that, and that's coming to a future show here where we're going to break down these video games. And I don't care if it's from cover art to quality.
Yeah.
But we will dive into them. But again, our inner child that has played NWO Revenge.
Yeah.
And moved guys like Sick Boy from Raven's Flock.
Yeah.
Why would you want to put a cap on who could move? Look, we just had the draft here in Detroit.
Yep.
And while there was and again, we'll discuss that on Wednesday, but the fact of the matter is, outside of cap penalties, there's nothing preventing any team from moving anyone. So why limit this?
Remember, I'm a proponent of having each brand have its own pay-per-view. I want to be able to see the best talent perform as often as I can.
Whoa. Walk me through this a little bit more, because this is the first I've ever heard you say this.
I thought that was a novel idea to have separate pay-per-views for the whole brand. Because I brought this up not even only a few weeks ago, because I brought it up in reference to WrestleMania having 2 nights. You had enough time to have a big enough stage for stories to move to the next chapter or to complete.
But let me ask you this though. You've always referred to during that same time frame as the blue program as the B program. So would it be able to be anything other than night one? Would it be able to truly live up to that if you're treating it as such? If you represent the eyes of the masses or to just the public, the court of public opinion, how could this be unless Vince Russo's around?
Man, you know what? Just tell me Vince Russo is in your is on your friends list. Okay, it just
you know what I wish he was, because I would tag him in, what a collaborator. We'd probably be able to get him on the show at this point.
Oh man,
I think I've done enough
yeah.
lip service here to warrant that.
I know he'd have some not. I know he'd have a few choice words for me, but hey, again, you've helped me have a different respect for him, right? You helped me have a different respect for him, but nonetheless, I've been a proponent. And I don't understand, and I'm still shocked that was universally panned, even by the fan base. I'm like, wait a minute. They always cry when talent gets released because talent doesn't. They don't have anything to do with talent, right? They don't have any. They don't have any. They'll have talent that languishes.
Oh
okay?
Man, look, you love to walk right into these. Like I'm telling you, we know some topics, and then there's like Double J's mind of honorable mentions, and you walk right into this. First of all, is Veer Mahan still coming to Raw?
Right.
But did all these releases, was that just to make way for the re-signing of Drew McIntyre?
Possibly.
Are you kidding me?
Well, wait a minute, because we thought he was gone too. Remember?
Well, on one of the shows more recently, I brought up that
they got big plans, right? They got big plans for him and Braun. I think.
Do they though? Because again, I thought we had big plans for Inda Sheer, and all we got was out of here. So
yeah, you did. Well, that's the thing about it is, I think at this time. And another reason why I'm a proponent of having separate pay-per-views for each brand, it's because of things like this, right? You wanted the payoff is the pay-per-view, and even the subscription model. Remember, we're not buying them at $44 or $39 or $44 or $49 a pop anymore. We're still getting that Saturday night social event where all eyes are on you. Okay.
Then why have they not taken the true UFC model and had these black matches aired on at some point?
Maybe that's coming, but it isn't here yet. The closest that we got to it again would be the separate pay-per-view per brand.
But wouldn't you agree if you were in creative, that the way that this could be the easiest pathway to making that a possibility, beyond needing 2 nights for every pay-per-view at that point, would be to have those house shows continue that additional storyline, especially considering that a lot of those house shows are having your, as you've called it, the B talent.
All right. Hey, you remember when Diesel beat Bob Backlund at a house show?
I heard about it.
Exactly. Now, this is well before the era. This was well before social media. And they end up having to run the match, the 17-second match it was, on, I think, WWF Superstars. But house shows are exactly what they should be. A chance for you and the fans, a chance for us as fans to see these performers live, right? And see the action close up.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Okay. Stories are meant for, you have to, it's like this. If I say I missed Raw, I missed Raw, or I missed SmackDown, or I missed the pay-per-view, I'm opting out of following the story the way it's told. Okay. Because it's as close to me as possible. It's on the internet that I already pay for. It's on the cable that I already pay for. I just choose not to turn the channel because I just, don't change that channel on my remote or set it up on my TV. At a house show, I've got to do a bit more than that. I got to pay for tickets, got to pay for parking, got to schedule the time, got to get to the event, got to get to the arena. Okay. And then who's to say what happens there that I won't miss. Like it's not this is not the same presentation, the expectation. So I'm saying if you have two distinct brands with two dedicated shows anyway, why wouldn't that extend to the pay-per-view?
But this is what I mean. Doesn't that seem, wouldn't that be easier? If you already have the SmackDown talent, you already have the SmackDown talent that's there on a Friday, that's going to participate on Saturday.
Yep.
Actually, Sundays as well, for that matter. We're not talking like a UK tour where it's the O2 Arena, but I feel like if you're setting that precedent that you, based on what you stated, which is the two shows, and the two shows are meant to solely and independently carry those particular storylines. As someone that's been to multiple house shows, don't you feel a little cheated by that at that point?
No, I don't. I don't feel cheated at the house show because, all right, so I think you and I, or I'll say for myself, I refer to myself as a smart mark. Guys who think they know enough about the business but really don't know nothing. I affectionately refer to myself as that. But understand, because of that, I expect the house show to be a great presentation, live performance theater, but guys to kind of get their act together so that way when it's on the big time in the pay-per-view in front of the millions and millions of fans, it looks more like Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes than Jimmy versus Jay Uso. Follow what I'm saying?
But that isn't that what the performance center's for? Isn't that what you've stated NXT is for? What's going on?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So, how many shows would you go to at the performance center?
Hang on a second, because you know what? This is a TKO brand now, and we have to treat it as such.
Yeah, we do,
and that also means certain expectations. And let's not kid ourselves that there are plenty of UFC insert random number here that are on ESPN that are not a prelim.
So, all right, I think I understand what you're getting at. I think I do. I'm
going to point this out to you as well. That maybe this will add some additional clarity.
Go ahead.
CM Punk, okay, who, by the way, the Arena Empty group, someone signed a PS5 controller, and it said it was looked like the Chicago flag, and it said "Bleep Phil."
Oh, okay. That does not help the brand at all.
But to take it a step further,
yes,
that same Phil was shown on your all your branding for that Friday night show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And only to participate in a black match and even drop a promo while he's there. You tell me, you just said you shouldn't feel cheated at a house show. How should I feel if I was expecting to see CM Punk perform with some, according to you, the only way there would be some storyline relevancy? And now I'm not even getting that, and I'm at the B program, as you've so coined it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I don't miss you. Because I think I'm a bit confused. Let me straighten this out. Actually, let me just go forward because I think I might answer your questions. Let me just move forward. The UFC model, right? If the UFC model is followed, the UFC pay-per-view model is followed, you've got ESPN running the dark mat, running the prelims, and the main card happens at night. So if you're doing that, if you're giving me that model of content on a pay-per-view day, then you don't need to split the brands up because there's enough of that pay-per-view type atmosphere that you can spread across, right? I mean, think of it this way. understand
whoa. Gully, you've been to a house show, right?
I've been to house shows. I've also recently watched. I watched UFC 300. The pay-per-view.
Well, but that's different. No. That was that was
WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
UFC, but understand, UFC 300 didn't start until 10 p.m.
Right.
The main card didn't start until 10 p.m.
But that was something extra. I don't think that's a fair representation of all of them. But wait a minute. There's still plenty of UFC 301s, we'll call it, that prelim to full. The entire card is just ESPN only. That there would have been no, ESPN Plus buy for $50.
Let me finish
totally there.
But let me finish. I'm suggesting that if you have a prelim, if you have, like, especially when Netflix gets involved, oh my gosh, when Netflix gets involved next year, to have your prelim on Netflix, if you will, or on ESPN or ESPN2 or ESPN3, having your prelims on Fox, and then at the conclusion of the prelim at 7:50 or at 8:30, you start the pay-per-view on Peacock in the States at 9 o'clock.
Oh, man.
I would, because you have that pay-per-view atmosphere. I mean, when you watch the prelims on any UFC fight, you can tell there's still that bit of atmosphere. There's the social dynamic that I've come to respect when it comes to UFC. Even though boxing is my favorite combat sport, UFC is delivering a great package by doing so. Having them prelims to kind of get you ready. You at the bar, you at the sports bar and grill, you're getting your drinks in, you're getting your shots in, you're getting your eat on, and you're watching, you're watching somebody in their retirement fight, you're watching the prelims, and then when you're probably ready to get settled in, you go back home, you're watching the main event in the comforts of your couch, big 85-inch screen with the Vizio surround sound. You got your buddies, you got your beer, you got your babe, you got your brew, all of that, right? You have a night dedicated to UFC, and no one misses a thing. You can do that.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm still gonna tune in for the May 4th Redneck Brawl or whatever the Barstool's Rough and Rowdy, right? That is more house show based, and they're doing it in a pay-per-view style format in a much more intimate setting, I guess we would call it that. They did it in Cincinnati. They've done it in at the Huntington Bank Center in Charleston, West Virginia, way out in Appalachia. If they can pull that off, the way that I was able to see Bray Wyatt and Sheamus and CM Punk at a house show in Hammond, Indiana, that was literally it felt like a CYO gym. And
CYO, wow.
Yes, I'm going to take it back there.
All the way back, yes.
Then there is no reason that a brand with the might that, especially now with, if we want to call it the additional financial backing, because you've hinted at potentially mixed pay-per-views. And boy, did I love the sound of that. Oh my gosh, did I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
That it didn't matter which segment, if it was NXT only, if it was the B program, if it was if Veer Mahan was finally showing up, I would be all in for that. And look at imagine that.
Yeah.
There we go. Redneck Brawl on Saturday. And again, for what it's worth, hey, we'll have to add some bare knuckle stuff to our program as well. So
yeah. Listen, if you win your fight, you win $500.
And hey, look, does that not get as house show as it gets?
It does.
I may have to go in there, pay a light bill or something.
Yeah, go ahead, give it a shot. Give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. Well, listen, I still think if it's expanded that way, I think the UFC pay-per-view setup presentation and card and arrangement. That could be done. Then you can have both brands, or you can have all three brands showcase themselves in a pay-per-view type atmosphere.
Don't tease me like that. Oh,
man, I'm telling you, like you can do that. Like I said, because WrestleMania being 2 nights, night 1, night 2, it's a full pay-per-view, and then you get to get one right back the next day. I love it. It worked. It came about by accident, but I absolutely love it. And for that reason, you have more time, and especially, or you have more time, and particularly, you have more availability for your guys and gals, your heroes and villains, to finish their story. The Purdue Boilermakers coach.
No. I think there's a heavyweight guy in there that kind of seems to, this is as amateur gets. For the most part, it seems like they're turning a corner, and it's going to end up becoming
turning a corner. Remember what happened when I said they turning a corner?
Right. Well,
circle
good
of wagons, brother Rich. I ain't been able to shake it since.
Yeah. So, needless to say, it would be. I would have to study a little bit more. Maybe we'll see based on what happens this upcoming weekend. But we're going to dive right into this list here of those that were drafted, of course.
Okay.
And so I'm going to give you a list, and I'm going to go essentially from one program to the next. So starting with SmackDown.
Right, got you.
The first SmackDown draftee was Bianca Belair.
All right.
Followed by Jey Uso going to Raw.
Okay.
Carmelo Hayes, of course, goes to SmackDown.
Yep.
Seth freaking Rollins goes to Raw.
Whoa.
Randy Orton to SmackDown.
Okay, so he stays.
Yep. Braun Breaker goes to Raw.
Okay.
Nia Jax, of course, who made herself very known that night, goes to SmackDown.
All right.
Liv Morgan in her revenge tour go to Raw.
Okay.
LA Knight, SmackDown.
Remains SmackDown.
Ricochet, Raw.
Remains Raw.
The Bloodline, as we know it, SmackDown.
Now, how is that possible? That a whole stable gets to go from brand to brand. Well, it only makes sense, but still, I thought tag teams have been broken up before in the draft.
They have.
What precipitated a tag team being able to stay together like them? I kind of get it. I mean, it makes sense, but then if you want me to buy into what you're selling, you've already told me the package shouldn't exist.
Don't you think, or do you believe that occurred because potentially Solo is not too good solo with the mic?
Definitely. Well, what difference do it make if he was on Raw or SmackDown? Paul Heyman's coming.
Well, that's right. He was included with it.
Yeah. And so Paul Heyman is still part of the bloodline, which is interesting. Solo and Tama don't want him. Well, I think it's moving up to a point, right? It's moving up to a point, right? We see this coming, and so I see where this could go. Or I have an idea of where it can go.
Well, by all means, let's lead us there.
Well, at some point, Solo and Tama are going to remove forcibly Paul Heyman from the bloodline, because after all, he is the special counsel to the tribal chief. If they don't consider him the tribal chief, what does Paul Heyman serve a purpose? What purpose?
Whoa. If you remember I want to say it was maybe 2-3 weeks ago now.
Yep.
I thought Solo said by orders of the tribal chief, implying that he was the tribal chief.
Right. The implication is there. Exactly. So if the implication is there, does he really think he needs Paul Heyman as a special counsel? Or is he just biding his time? Which I think he's just biding his time. He's gonna get sick.
Why?
Of it.
Why?
Because because I think he's gonna try to see if he proves useful. But Paul Heyman's allegiance is to Roman Reigns, not the bloodline. And it's going to become evident. And Solo would be keen to see that. And then guess what? Here's the thing. Brock Lesnar ain't came back yet. And WWE has a hard time declaring his presence or absence definitive.
Okay, well, wait a minute. I thought we were going to go left and you went right.
Yeah.
So where do we go with what happens first, I guess? What do you see occurring? Is it he is forcibly removed by way of Solo, or is it his allegiance comes under question because of the presence of one Brock Lesnar, or does Roman return? Which happens first here?
I think, well, I threw Brock Lesnar. That might be more of a red herring. I just always think it's possible, right? I always think it's possible. I don't know what I don't remember, and I've got to be re-educated on what the dialogue was behind Paul Heyman aligning himself to become a special counsel to Roman Reigns while Brock Lesnar was still coming after that title. I forgot what allowed that to happen. You know what I mean? And why Paul Heyman, remained as special counsel, when if we're trying to foreshadow and foretell, it would seem as if Paul Heyman was going to commit to swerve, and the swerve for us, what everyone was, he remained loyal to Roman Reigns. When Brock Lesnar's been his guy ever since Brock Lesnar left OVW. You follow what I'm saying? That to me was the biggest swerve. It was that he stayed put. If Roman ain't there no more and Brock comes back, Brock does great things with Brock Lesnar, with Paul Heyman. And think of it this way too. Consider this. In Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame acceptance speech, he mentioned his relationship or his career milestones with Brock Lesnar as well as Roman Reigns. So he's able to and to equal receptance of the crowd. You get what I'm saying? So it would make sense, or it could make sense to me, that Brock Lesnar returns and Paul Heyman returns his loyalty. But again, that could be a red herring. I think that in terms of what we're seeing here, Solo and Tama are over with Paul Heyman, or I would put it this way: Solo and Tama are the bloodline, and they'll remove any indication that they answer to anyone else except for Solo and Tama. That includes removing special counsel, because special counsel was special counsel to Roman Reigns, not to the bloodline. You see what I mean?
Wow. Well, we're going to take a quick 30.
Yep.
Because I'm going to chew on that. That was a lot to process.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there.
What it do, sports fans? It's your man BSJ from the Shop Report. And guess what? The shop is now open for business, baby. If you're on Facebook, go to our fan page, The Shop Report. Click on more and then shop to view all products. Or if you're on Instagram, click on the shop tab, to see all our products. I mean, what you want me to do? I'm selling merch here.
All right. And just like that, we are back, and we're going to dive right into the remainder and rounding out night one, because night two is quickly upon us. And Sheamus, not to NXT like we had maybe thought would occur, but instead,
based off of how he returned, he should have went. Everything I said, everything I said about NXT.
Man, I should have saved that time out.
Hey,
that was brutal.
Double J, you was right. You was right. Said Sheamus.
Oh, you saw it? No.
Yes. I stand corrected. Oh my goodness.
Oh, no.
Man. Yo, I think that there's some problems with that, man. I think he faced some flack behind the scenes with that.
He said, now he owned it, as we discussed. I'm glad you saw it, because now it hits different, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, look, the internet, as I said before, is
undefeated. Right, like you said, it's two undefeateds: the internet and time. Right, time just got time is just older, but the internet is undefeated. Yeah.
You suggest so we potentially NXT or insert, never mind. I'm not going there. So yes, he saw the memes. He owned up to it. You think he may have caught some? He said, he came out and said, I came back maybe too early. What say you, especially now with kind of that what you just mentioned a moment ago, which is that he may have gotten some heat behind the scenes?
I think he did. Sheamus has a look, right? Sheamus has a look, and his look is that he's
warrior.
Yeah, he's buff, and he's no. Think about it. Like, his look is buff. I mean, he's not like chiseled, sculpted like The Rock, but he's not flabby. Sheamus has never been that. Sheamus has always been like bulky, right? That was different than what we saw. And
what about for all the dad bods out there? He wasn't, showing us that we could win too.
Unless you run that, yeah, right. I mean, but listen, unless they decide to take Sheamus that way, right? Unless they take him that way, like you make that an angle, right? You make
take that away. Are you talking about the cheeseburger? What are you?
Yeah, if you run with it, if you run with Sheamus, the dad bod Sheamus, if you run with that, then go with it. But if you're not, I think he did. So he said he returned a little bit too early. He probably was ready, and he misunderstood. He probably misunderstood just what the complete view, or like how fans viewed him completely. See, other superstars like all right, when Shawn Michaels returned in what was it? When he was
that 2009, 2000-ish?
Probably earlier than that. Remember when he won the World Heavyweight title, right? He was
okay. No. I'm thinking when he came back and he said he was old.
Yeah. Even then, right, in 2009, he didn't have, of course, we know the era had changed, but he was not as well defined. He didn't have that definition that we had become accustomed to. Shawn Michaels could get away with that because Shawn Michaels, his look, his physique was great, but it wasn't part of his character. He was a heartthrob. He was sexy boy. He didn't have to have the chiseled body. He wasn't that, right? Sheamus was different. Sheamus is like, you don't expect that from him. Because if you did, we would not have flocked to it. Like, man, hold on, man. Who is Sheamus, man? He didn't put on a couple of, Sheamus done, how can you put it? Sheamus done bulked up, right? You know what I'm saying? Like GTA San Andreas, right? Sheamus been going to Clockenbell or whatnot.
Oh my gosh, no, you didn't.
You know what I'm saying? That's not what we expected. Clearly, that's not what we expected when we saw Sheamus return. And I think he recognizes that now. He probably recognizes what the complete view of what we thought of Sheamus, and he's gonna get it together. I don't doubt him. You know, he's worked hard for the position that he has. I don't think he's one that's taking it for granted. I think he probably did come back too early because he was ready to get back into it. You know, he was ready to get back active. He was physically well enough to get active, but yeah, you got to work on that. He's got to work on that. Look, he's got to return to who he was.
Has this image been doctored at all?
Amen. Yeah. Yeah, people editing Sheamus pictures and shaming him is stupid. Yeah, that ain't him. Yeah, that image has been doctored for sure.
We call it dramatic effect. I mean, that is a pretty, when you put them side by side like that, that's pretty extreme.
It is. But here's what I'm saying. That is a caricature, but to be honest, that is what we saw. You follow what I'm saying? Like, it was that jarring for us. It looked almost as if that was a caricature. You get what I'm saying? Like, that really wasn't the case, but that's how we saw it. Like, dang, man, Sheamus done.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna close this out here with AJ Styles goes to SmackDown.
Okay.
The Alpha Academy goes to Raw.
Okay.
So we brought up kind of duos, trios, quads going as a group. And Andrade goes to SmackDown. And then Kiana James goes to Raw.
Okay. So let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
First night is complete. All right. Name for me.
Yep.
The superstar from Raw or SmackDown that went to NXT.
You know what? I knew you were going to do that. I should have freaking known you were going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Let me get my
You know what? Veer Mahan is going to NXT soon.
Let me get my cartoon laugh on.
Yeah, go ahead. Yuck it up.
Remember what you were saying? What did I tell you?
Hey, well, look, you're on record of saying that, Dad Bod Sheamus should have gone to NXT.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, he needs development, which is what NXT is. So, all right. So explain this then. Why did Carmelo Hayes go from NXT to SmackDown? And why did Kiana James go from NXT to Raw?
Well, you know what? Hang on a second. And I keep saying Veer Mahan is coming for a reason. Because that, to me, look, we did see at the very least, if Carmelo Hayes does nothing the rest of 2024 and 2025, I don't believe that'll be the case. But he's already been indoctrinated at that point, right? Okay. Night one, he goes in, gets a title shot, leapfrogs the number one contender, gets a title shot, loses, but it puts on a show that suggests, look, I'm going to be here for a while.
Right.
But on the other hand, we've seen on more than one occasion someone go to a program, and never get that opportunity, and then coincidentally, it feels like we're playing salary cap here. Mm-hmm. We're NFLing now, and we're making room to re-sign. We're telling people, hey, no, you got nothing to worry about. And then you're getting, now you're on unemployment. And then Drew McIntyre gets a new deal. So there's no guarantees with any of this. Because Veer Mahan, Indashir, and Jinder Mahal of the three-man band, does he not get enough credit for his indie work? But
no, he doesn't. All right, so hold on, wait a minute. What am I missing? What's this deal with Veer Mahan and you?
Well,
what's the
okay,
deal
so
with your
the
affection for Veer Mahan? Tell me out. Explain this. Unpack this for me.
all right, so really what it stems from is Jinder Mahal, because of course speaking of Drew McIntyre again, the members of the 3-man band with Chucky, as I called him, but they were building up into sheer, and literally there was that promo. It just the still shot, the JPEG of Veer Mahan is coming to Raw, and Veer Mahan never came to Raw. And so for me, it's the fact that he essentially came and saw and left. And again, family program. And so that's kind of where it lives and dies with me. But ultimately, with the draft specifically, there's no guarantees with these guys.
No.
Pointing out some of the rough side of this business, as Triple H likes to say. Yeah. With telling someone that would never happen, about being worried about being released only to be released.
I told you why. I told you why. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it happening, because it's going to. That's what you said. That's why you can say, don't worry. Hey man, don't worry about being released. Don't worry. You get what I'm saying? It's like,
that sounds terrible, Gully.
But hey, what happened? What happened? They basically told that man, so that way they wouldn't be lying. They was like, hey man, don't worry about being released. Don't even worry about it. Think about it this way. Double J, you've been a kid, right? You knew something that you done was gonna get a stern talking to. And sometimes the talking wasn't with somebody's words. It was with a belt, maybe. All right. So if you knew that, why worry about you getting a whooping?
But see, that's implied that you already knew it was coming. If
you
had been told.
No, they said don't worry. They ain't say you good. They said don't worry. Don't worry about it.
No, that's different. That's worse.
You ain't gotta worry about being released. Don't worry. You ain't gotta worry about it. And maybe he misunderstood. Now I understand this. I don't mean to laugh at his plight, like laughing at somebody losing a job, because I've been there. But I'm gonna tell you like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one time I got fired from a job, I didn't need to worry about being fired from a job.
You knew it was coming. Everybody
I knew. So it was like, am I worried about losing my job? Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about losing your job. Don't worry about it.
God.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. He basically got that word.
So you think it was just a because when you put it that way, look, that whooping, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you say don't worry about a thing happening, that does not
sound like Bob Marley, Gully.
Yeah. Well, it's far from it, right? But what we're saying is, when they say don't worry about something happening, they're not intimating that they're saying it won't happen. That's you in your mind reassuring yourself, hey, I don't have to worry because the thing I'm worrying about won't happen. No, they're saying you don't have to worry about if the thing will happen or not. You get what I'm saying? Let's break down the language. They're saying do not worry if or if not. They're saying don't fret not if it will or won't happen. That's all they said.
Yeah, and that ended, again, very bad. I do feel terrible for all of those guys. I'm not sure if you noticed, though, there was some verbiage written into law that would allow released individuals to sign for we'll call it competitor.
Yes.
And perform the same day. So what are your thoughts on that, especially under these circumstances?
This is great. Okay, so yeah, that has implications for the entire U.S. economy. The idea that companies no longer can utilize non-competes. Do you understand what this would have meant to professional wrestling in 2001?
Man, I knew you were going to go there, and I'm glad he did.
Do you understand what that would have meant to professional in 2001? That would have meant that WCW being bought by Vince McMahon could have almost immediately started the invasion angle. That could have meant the NWO could have been retooled at that time, perhaps to invade WWF or WWE at the time. We may have been much more likely to get one of the 5 biggest what ifs in professional wrestling, the Sting versus Undertaker match.
Oh my gosh.
Here's my question. My question. My question with that is, people say they want the match. Does Sting get the win over the Undertaker?
Well, you know what I was gonna counter ask you. Do you think? Because again, I do think the WWE messed up not doing that match.
Yeah, they really did.
And to this day, of course, Sting being retired, they could have been. But is this one of those things that our imaginations would we have set ourselves up for failure? Could it have truly lived up to what we all believe it would have been? Because none of us, I mean, I would go on record and as far as to say that Jeff Jarrett agrees with us in that statement, that even Sting himself would suggest that in his retirement now, that could have, or would you? So, do you think it would have lived up to it? And if if they were to have, in my best Christian Cage voice,
okay,
one more match,
I think it only lives up to the hype if Undertaker puts Sting over.
Well, the streak's broken. So what if
first of all, it should never have happened at WrestleMania. Because it's weird.
It would have though. I don't think that was avoidable.
It would have happened at WrestleMania. No, see, if you give me a program, Sting doesn't beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Sting does not beat Undertaker. Undertaker beats Sting at WrestleMania. However, you give me any of the other big 4. You give me SummerSlam. You give me Royal Rumble. I tell you what, you give me Survivor Series. Sting survives at Survivor Series. You give me that. Undertaker puts Sting over at Survivor Series. That would be the ideal time to do it.
That's not, look, as much as I could agree with you that outside of, insert pay-per-view not named Mania here,
yes,
that could have very well occurred to its entirety.
Yeah.
We both know there's no way they would have done that it would have went down that way, because it's just too epic. And
they wouldn't have done what? Who wouldn't have done what?
There's no way. Like, the reason it didn't occur, to my knowledge, is Vince didn't see it as a fit.
Yeah, Vince was not going to put over in. Listen, all right.
So you're saying that the reason this, in your opinion, the reason this didn't go down is because the absolute certainty was that if this occurred, Sting would have had to prevail.
Yeah, why else? Why else? Why even waste time? You run a program between the man of the dark side and the man of darkness. You the dead man and the man from the dark side. I'm sorry. That's how you run that program. It can't be a one and done. You run that program. Sting loses at WrestleMania because as loyal as Sting was to WCW for everything that WCW gave to him as a persona and as a brand, right? Mm-hmm. He remains loyal. The fact of the matter is, a guy like that can't beat Mr. WrestleMania at WrestleMania, period. Okay, it should have been Bray Wyatt that broke the streak. But if it wasn't Bray Wyatt that broke the streak, it would only make sense for it to be The Undertaker. I mean, for it to be Brock Lesnar. So those two things make sense. Sting cannot, having a career in WCW, come into WrestleMania and beat Mr. WrestleMania himself. Don't happen that way. However, the match is such that, man, what if? Right? If you can give Shawn Michaels back-to-back WrestleMania matches with Undertaker, certainly it was that what if that could draw you into making you believe that maybe Shawn Michaels might be able to do it this time when I know he wasn't. Either way. And I'm a big fan of Shawn Michaels. But Sting can't beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania. However, at Survivor Series, we're talking about that fall, that wintry, snowy, dark time in the year, right? Post Halloween, right? Survivor Series, the pay-per-view itself, having that match inside of a cage, inside of a cell, inside of a graveyard, anything, any type of gimmick match you want, Sting to prevail with a Scorpion Death Drop on the Undertaker, the roof goes off the place, and it's believable. I think it could happen, but the problem is, what WCW personas did Vince McMahon actually genuinely put over? He put over Ric Flair because he had to, because Ric Flair was the business.
Oh, now you're going to give him credit.
Who?
Flair.
Yes, I've always gave him credit. Ric Flair was the business. You're not going to give. Listen, Ric Flair was the business. He put over Ric Flair. Okay,
you said it yourself that based on age and when his all those promos were cut.
Yeah,
that and yet he was adored by Vince himself. Come on, but not adored by the top 50 list?
No. My problem was I said Hogan's number one. I said Hogan is the single greatest persona that the business has had.
I mean, sure, but we're talking Ric Flair here.
But Hogan again. To listen, and we said this last week on last week's show when the Shop Report talks about who's the best. We never speak about that in binary terms, meaning when we proclaim someone as the best, the person or people that they eclipse don't just become relegated to like cannon fodder, right? They're not trash just because I say is if I say Hulk Hogan is unequivocally the best persona that wrestling has had, and it is only now 20 years removed from any type of peak that we get wrestlers that perhaps are greater, that The Rock actually can become that great persona, or CM Punk, or insert persona that you have here.
You already got to
modern day.
This is where mortals become gods in that respect.
Okay.
Because if you remember The Undertaker, he passed on a lot of different opportunities to maintain the role that he had.
Okay.
Okay. Sting himself, all the way through his most recent conclusion, right? I literally told you I thought I was watching a rerun from the 90s when he came down from that ceiling.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that by good fortune, I had tuned in to his last match. And I had happened to see one of his previous promos right near the end as well, kind of leading up to it.
Yeah.
But I was just in awe of what I had witnessed.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about two of just the streaks are not comparable in this respect. And the fact that Taker's is gone, it makes me really kind of question why it makes me wonder, or at least to be a little less certain of if it were to occur now, because some of the mythos, if you will, are gone.
Okay.
If it were to occur today.
Yeah, it can't, because both of the, first of all, Undertaker, Mark Calloway is talking a whole heck of a lot, considering how well he protected the Undertaker persona while he was active, even semi-active. So the allure is kind of missing for me. And it's weird to me. It's surreal, because everything because the Undertaker the Undertaker was a character that existed in the world of WWE that made sense in WWE.
Okay.
You could buy into what you saw in WWE. I shared Mark Calloway's birthday. We born March 24th. Okay. Me knowing that, all right, was already surreal enough. But to hear him talk about who the Undertaker was as a character, for him to have put it away, it's still hard for me to get over, because he protected the character and protected the business so well during that entire 30 years. I can only really fully see it from a perspective of a fan watching WWE programming. It's jarring to me every time I see like hotboxing with the Undertaker. Hotboxing with Mike Tyson, Undertaker's a special guest. And I love every single story that he tells, right? The Undertaker on, what was it called? What's Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast? The two of them talking to each other in that way, where he talking about the fact that when they were coming up, and Stone Cold talks about the fact that he was about a year behind the Undertaker. Coming into the business, so he was green. They both were fairly green. Undertaker was a bit newer, and there was a call made in the ring, and Steve didn't get it, and he kept saying "huh," and he kept getting it. So finally, made him to him. It's so jarring to hear that. So let's say Sting and the Undertaker got into any reasonable physical peak condition, it would be hard to watch that match, because I'm watching two guys getting dressed up again
No, don't
it
do
would.
that.
It would, man. It would. But if we say, listen, what I'm saying is, if going all the way back to the idea that started this conversation, if non-compete were deemed illegal, and you could get a version of Sting that was still near his peak, even as I said, I can't even bring myself to say it, because the problem is Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon buried WCW talent. He buried all the WCW talent that he could, and he didn't bury, in my opinion, he couldn't bury Ric Flair, because Ric Flair was too great. He couldn't bury. He actually liked Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero.
Wait a minute. Yeah,
he actually liked those. Okay,
there's an answer for you.
I think he came to respect, because you know what, he bought into smaller guys, so he actually could work with those guys. But I'm telling you,
that's why he put Eddie. It wasn't the glorious work ethic, and
no. What I'm saying is he could respect because remember, he went with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart when WCW was still putting the big guys over, right?
Yeah, but where I agree,
well, he had a respect for it. He didn't have to. He had a respect for guys like that. You had to be phenomenal workers, right? And the other thing about it is when it comes to Eddie Guerrero, you couldn't bury him because these guys were able to get over with the crowd. Chris Jericho was able to get over with the crowd. So, like,
oh boy, you're answering your own question, man. You keep going with all these greats that transcended brands.
Yeah, I see. The problem is, what I'm saying is,
what about Steve Austin? I mean, he wasn't great.
Now, Steve Austin, right? These guys were not getting respected. Remember, Eric Bischoff fired Steve Austin, or the company fired.
And you can thank Paul Heyman.
And then he went to ECW, and then he got picked up. What I'm saying is, Vince McMahon would have not allowed Sting to flourish. And after all these years, Sting came back for WrestleMania. And what happened? He lost.
And you blame Vince for that?
Absolutely.
Now, wait a minute here. Because
absolutely. I mean, Triple H, listen, Sting put Triple H over. Why did Triple H need that match? For his legacy. What did it benefit Triple H to beat Sting at WrestleMania? His whole entire catalog is complete.
So you're telling me right now, if that was night 1, I don't care, night 2, you pick. That's your cover art for WrestleMania, despite the fact that, as you pointed out, he's already lost, but you know what? So has the Dead Man.
Okay.
Because remember, we had an overdue dream matchup with Goldberg. And then we had the Brothers Destruction versus DX. And we had that brutal match with Brock Lesnar in 2015. Like what brutal match? The Shane McMahon was a little bit odd, but
yeah, that was a surprise. Shane McMahon surprised me, and how well that match was versus The Undertaker. That was a surprise. That was a great match. Separate from the bumps that Shane took. I mean, when I say separate from, I'm saying not including that, like to say that was icing on the cake, if you will. That was a great match. That really surprised me. I'm saying to you that because when I go through the history, my mind does change. Vince McMahon would not have put Sting over in any capacity because Sting rejected WWE before he relented. Sting was keen enough and wise enough to know that if I go to WWE, as soon as my contract expires, I know what they'll do to me. And he was absolutely right because they did it to darn near everybody else. They buried everybody from WWE. Embarrassed Booker T by putting them in the shadow of the Rock. Embarrassed them. And then he figured out, now, because these guys are great talents and they're great workers and they have a great understanding of the business, they were resilient enough to find a way to get over. Eddie Guerrero was able to do that. Rey Mysterio was able to do that. Certainly Chris Jericho was able to do that. Booker T found a way. But I'm telling you, anybody, and he couldn't do it to Ric Flair because Ric Flair was the only one he couldn't do it to immediately was Ric Flair.
Oh, you're killing me.
He couldn't. He could not bury. You can't bury Ric Flair. Ric Flair had too much respect from too many other wrestlers, especially the guys that you did. Listen, they wasn't going to allow that. Ric Flair was universally respected. The only guy that he didn't like him, and that was Bret Hart.
Oh, this is just.
Ric Flair is universally respected by Shawn Michaels, by Triple H, by Undertaker, by Steve Austin, by The Rock. You're not going to bring him into this company in 2001 buying it and then bury him. They're not going to go for that. And they didn't go for that. And look what Ric Flair did. Helped with evolution, gave keen insight and wisdom, made great stories.
Don't you think, though, because you pointed out Vince more, a handful of times here, that the relationship, the bond almost, that felt, I guess some could make the case that it was arguably brotherly between Vince and The Undertaker.
Yep.
Or Mark Calloway, if we want to go there, that Vince was going to protect him. And if you remember a lot of these matches, even that Firefly Funhouse one, that kind of could be argued it didn't totally deliver in the way that maybe we all had hoped, that Vince protected him.
Vince protected who?
The Undertaker.
Listen, it had nothing to do with protecting The Undertaker.
Because if
I'm not mistaken, right, it was Undertaker's idea to say, hey, listen, you know what, put Brock over at WrestleMania. They had to convince Brock. They had to convince Brock to do it. Now, the Undertaker was a man of his own, for sure. Right. He was a guy that if he said it, it was going to, if he spoke it, it was going to be so. But how often did Undertaker ever exercise that? He never really, I don't think he rarely exercised that respect for him. I think if Vince McMahon had his mind set on it, he was going to bury him. And because he ended up doing it anyway, and the Undertaker was still there. He ended up burying him, man. How does Sting lose to Seth Rollins? Tell me, how many victories did Sting have in his tenure with WWE?
That's actually a very good question. And that's why I bring up the present.
Okay.
Because if you had watched, what was that called? The Last Ride.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd seen The Last Ride. Obviously, it gave life to the dead man, right? And really kind of showed how he had truly battled through.
Yes.
Despite being deemed, the dead man for his career, he really,
those injuries he took
were legit.
He had a broken ankle at Hell in a Cell, 98.
Well, and then what was it? The Randy Orton match. He had to go to the hospital immediately after, right? He had a concussion. So
yes,
that's what I mean about him being protected by the brand. Again, I brought up that Firefly Funhouse intentionally because I think all of us thought that Bray would get put over and that it could have gone to greater depths that we had once seen in the past. And so if I were to fast forward,
pause, I'm confused. Wait a minute. You said the Firefly Funhouse match. I thought that was Bray and John Cena. Oh, that's not that was the Undertaker match between. Really?
And then even like when the Roman Reigns, trying to elevate him, at that point, at the time, I think that was more so on Roman that he wasn't as polished. If I want to give a little bit of benefit of the doubt here,
it was because it was because Vince wanted Roman, and he forced them upon us.
So I'm glad you. Look, this is intriguing to me.
Roman on this, and at that time, I felt bad for Roman because who wouldn't want the spotlight? The guy's telling me I'm the guy. Why wouldn't I want to take it? And I'm going to do everything I can for it. Who's going to be seasoned enough to say, you know what, Vince, I ain't ready? Who's going to say that? Who's going to have enough? I won't say integrity because I'm not going to say that Roman believed that he wasn't ready enough. But for anybody in that position, they're going to say, okay, you're giving me this. You're putting the company on my shoulders. I'm going to do the best I can at running with it. He wasn't equipped. We wasn't ready for him. We weren't ready to embrace it. Right. But that's not going to stop me from getting the title. You get what I'm saying? Like, why would I run from that? Because if you ask someone, right, you ask your son, hey, I'm going to give you a big responsibility because I think you're ready for it. What would it mean for you if you're someone like, nah, I ain't ready for it? What you gonna do? You gonna force it on him? Probably not. If he said I ain't ready for him, but if instead he tries to coach himself and say, yeah, I'm ready. Yes, I'm ready. I can handle it. Whether you see it or not, you want him to have this thing. So if he tells you, yeah, I'm ready for it, even if he ain't, it's going to be a different response by you versus if he say, I ain't really ready for it. You'll never give him the opportunity. Oh, you ain't ready when I say. You get what I'm saying? You got to act as if. So Roman acted as if because they telling him, the industry, the business is telling him, you the guy. You the guy, even if he wasn't the guy, because he wasn't the guy for a couple of reasons. He wasn't ready. Plus, there were others that we thought were because they were better wrestlers. They were better personas. Seth Rollins was who we wanted. Dean Ambrose was who we wanted because they were more dynamic. They seemed to be more ready for it, probably because they had been in the business longer. So they had already come through OVW. They already know how to do this. They already had angles. They were more complete. For lack of a better word, no, I don't want to do this because I don't call people parts, pieces. So they were more complete personas than Roman. Nonetheless, Vince forced Roman upon us at the time because he felt we were ready for it or what have you. We weren't ready for it. By that same token, the Undertaker couldn't do nothing to stop it anyway. By that same token, Vince was going to bury Sting because Sting said no to him.
So Vince is now, of course, out of the picture, right?
Vince is out of the picture, right?
Do you believe, and this is why I'm leaning towards it, right? Because we could have said kind of their auras or mythos are certainly were arguably in decline. But as you pointed out, in both cases, and I'm going to lean a little bit more on Undertaker with this one, that they creative control Hulk Hogan their way, Sting more so with AEW with choice of who opponent was, and to an extent with Taker having the relationship with Vince that he did. But despite that, the way that Sting was able to end on the high like he did, and kind of despite the neck surgery, and again, knowing both of where they are now, with what Taker did at Mania, wouldn't that bring the possibility of reviving this because it revived his mystique once more?
What are you saying if they were to have a match now?
Yes.
I wanted Holyfield and Tyson to fight a third time.
No, you're not going to chop liver this.
I'm telling you, man. I'm saying, bro, like
you're not going to Mozart the ear here.
No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, like I wanted Holyfield and Tyson to fight a third time.
Why?
But listen, I wanted them to fight for a third time before I turned 21. Okay? I'm 40 now, bro.
Oh, man.
The time for Undertaker, the time for Undertaker Sting match has passed us, unfortunately. Because in the time that it should have happened, it wasn't going to be a true match because Sting was going to get buried. And we know that Sting was going to get buried because when Sting didn't wrestle The Undertaker, he wrestled Triple H and lost, which makes no sense. Which further makes no sense because why would Sting, of all people, have the NWO help him in a match? And then still lose. He got buried by Triple H at WrestleMania and then continued to get buried by Seth Rollins. I would have never thought that Sting needed to have a WWE title. I think great stories could have been told without Sting having had that match. Namely, he should have gotten to that feud with The Undertaker almost immediately, and it could have rolled. And it could have helped both personas to sell tickets. And we could have perhaps maybe gotten a truer result. But Sting was going to get buried by anything that Vince McMahon ran because Sting said no to him. Remember, he sat on the sideline.
Oh.
Sting will tell you, right? It was the interview that he was asked, and I think you remember. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? He said, I watched Raw when they did the invasion angle, and I saw The Rock look at Booker T and say, who are you? And when he saw how they embarrassed a guy like Booker T, even though Booker T was resilient enough all those years later to come to create a lane for himself within the universe of WWE, he still got embarrassed. And when he said he saw that, he was like, he knew he made the right decision by not going, because that's what was going to happen to him. Because if it wasn't going to be, if put it this way, as fate would have it, if it wasn't Booker T that it happened to, it would have been Sting. And it's like that's a great disrespect. Yeah, he and I believe he's absolutely right. And again, for Sting to finally come to WWE and go to WrestleMania to face Triple H of all people, to lose that match, Triple H can't put Sting over. What did Triple H win by getting that? By earning that? How did that help his legacy? I've asked this already. I've asked it, several minutes ago, but I'm getting myself back to it again. You help me out, Double J. Tell me, what does Triple H benefit by beating Sting? And if that's the case, Triple H beat him. Yeah, if Triple H beat him, right? All right, so let's say Triple H beat him, which he did. How do you move on to a program with The Undertaker?
Well, here's the thing. Sting himself has even said that the match with Seth Rollins he agreed to because he thought that the Taker match was still a possibility.
And you know what?
I'm going to quote Sting here on this very subject. Yep. I had so many ideas over the years. A lot of times, smoke and mirrors aren't good things. But in our situation, I think with his gimmick and the mystiques of his character and mine, we couldn't have enough smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
I think it definitely would have been a night that people remembered.
Yes.
Man, I would have loved to have seen that. Come on, Gully. Come on, dude.
Listen. Okay, you said it, right? He said, I thought the match with Undertaker was still on the table when I got in the ring with Seth. Okay. So, you got in the ring with Seth Rollins. I'm
going to quote you, actually. This will help your point here. So, it took nearly 30 years, of course, for those that don't know, for Sting to debut in WWE.
Yes.
A desire to book the match he and fans yearned for finally swayed Sting. Okay?
Yep. Yes.
I thought, and this is to quote now, and I quote, I thought, well, maybe if I get my foot in the door, we'll see what happens. So I got my foot in the door, Sting said. We did a WrestleMania with Triple H, and then Vince called and said, hey, I want you to have a world title match with Seth. Would you be willing to do that? Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. Still in hopes that somehow I could get in there with Taker.
And coincidentally enough, Seth Rollins makes a career-altering botch.
That's right. Are you, wait a minute, are you kind of, whoa, where are you going with that?
You know where I'm going with that.
Oh.
Because this ain't the first time this has happened with Seth Rollins.
Go on.
Who else? Oh, the Universal Champion, Finn Balor, title match.
No way. Is this the greatest conspiracy never told, in at least in the modern era?
And what I'm saying is, man, I'm saying there was a reason, right? And then consider this, right? You telling me the amount of pull that Mark Calloway, that the Undertaker had on Vince's ear? I believe, just like you believe, if he could do the job for Roman and do the job for Brock, for the purpose of giving the fans something that they want to see, the idea that the Undertaker could do the job for Sting certainly is plausible. And there's only one way to stop it. Two ways to stop it. One, Vince McMahon got to say no. Two, oh man, he got to get hurt.
You don't think that, again, we talk creative control. You don't believe the other party? I mean, look, we can't look to look at Sting, who was willing, right? He was a willing participant here. He played ball.
Participant of what? Of the match with Seth Rollins?
Well, yes. Again, we just quoted him. So
right.
my point is, I'm not quite sure why this didn't happen then, because it's
I can tell you why.
Well, here, wait a minute. We're on record now based on what occurred that Sting wasn't afraid to take the L. So why would Vince not make the ultimate dream match happen, knowing that in many respects, I guess, as you've kind of somewhat suggested, the legacy of Sting as it pertains to WWE was already tarnished. Why not make it happen?
Because at the point you tarnish his legacy, how do you put a guy who lost to Seth Rollins and Triple H, how do you put him over?
You're not.
Exactly.
That's just it. You're not. It would have been Taker who would have walked away from that.
Is it for Sting to come to WWE and proceed to lose his entire time there, which is effectively what he did?
Well, okay, but this is why up to this point I would have said, and this is also pre-ending of streak.
I wish he never came, bro. I wish it would. I wish he would have never come. Because what we got was...
Can we right the wrong? What can we do here? Can we fix this?
Like WWE 2K24?
Oh, gosh. Dude,
that's how you fix it.
Man.
That's how you fix it. Go to Creative Player. Go to Creative Player. Create Steve Borden, the Crow, and then go and unlock the Undertaker. And if you want to know what my vision of it is, sell.
No, they look, smoke and mirrors, dude. Bring out to this day. I still think they could pull it off. I don't care who wins. I think you could have a double count out for all I know, and I don't think it would disappoint.
Okay.
I am with you that look at where it was. I still think it could have occurred even during the streak. And I think, like you said, legacy wise, unfortunately, at that point, Sting would have been 0-3, fine. And I think the whole world would have been able to live with that.
What was Sting coming to WWE and being 0-3?
He's 0-2. You might as well. At least we got to see it.
No, man, you gotta have him win. Like, why would you give Sting a world? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Sting a world title.
I'm with you now that if this dream match were to occur, that you're absolutely right. That would be the best, most perfect ending possible. That would right those wrongs. I don't know if Taker would be game for it because of, he's been very public about it. But I think what happened in this past Mania would allow for it to occur because the lore that had been lost would obviously, they had just shown him in the skybox mere moments before he came down and appeared in the ring with Rock.
Yeah.
So they brought that back to life. But I want to transition here to, before we do, just to if it were on the card,
Mhm.
and I were to tell you that Sting walks away a winner here, does it right the wrong that Vince did? And would it sit well with you? And do you think it would sit well with the general public?
Would it right the wrong? Perhaps. Could it have? Would it sit well with the general public? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You don't have a guy go 0-2 and then beat the Undertaker. Like, you got to step up to that.
No, Brock Lesnar's lost. All right.
Brock Lesnar. When had he lost before he beat the Undertaker?
It had been a while.
Exactly. You don't come in there, fresh off an L where you still smell like the L that you took. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, but it's been years, right? I mean, look, Stinger has proven he still got it, right? Get him back in there. I mean, Cody Rhodes is giving everybody a shot these days.
Yeah.
So why not give Sting a shot? And again, maybe not make it for a title, and Cody will probably roll over and be game.
Yeah. All of that sounds well. All of that sounds well and good.
And AJ Styles' final push, maybe he gets pushed over by Sting, setting that match up. I mean, look, there's a number of directions we could go with it in a short amount of time, dude.
Sure. No, all of these things don't sound bad. But I'm telling you, Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. will be in the way.
So coincidentally, brought up Sting, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, you brought up the NWO also.
Yep. How did that
Carlito?
Work? Yeah.
Turned heel.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't think he ever wasn't a heel, but Carlito did what Carlito does. And that is now multiple people that are close to Rey Mysterio. What say you about that particular move? And is Rey Mysterio the new Sting?
Yeah, he seems like he's gotten a lot of fracture. He's got a son, and now Carlito, people turning their back on him. He's about to go on a lonely road. I can imagine a black and white mask, black tights, and the black jogger pants, coming back. I wouldn't mind that. What do they have for him in store though? That's the question.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering myself, because it just seems like the LWO, or it's like L is here, the W is over here, and the O's over there.
Yeah.
But we've seen this before with Sting, and of course, as we just discussed, it didn't quite go the way that we had hoped.
Right.
So where do we go from here with Ray, if he's going to have another run, or is it where you're our creative control?
I think they want to disband some of those factions and stables and bring these guys into some singles competitions where there are plenty more feuds, and then putting Ray back in the singles competition certainly helps to strengthen those feuds and also give us an idea of a potential, another title, right? That we can talk about and we can wrap up. But I think that's what it is. It's just like, removing, cutting away from him to get him to his core and what he is, a singles competitor.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. Just a final thought here. As we had gone over, feels like a century ago, the day one or night one of the picks. For myself, I would declare, if I had to pick a winner on the night, I certainly would have given it to SmackDown. I'm going to lean towards that main event of Carmelo Hayes. So right away, your draft pick, goes right into the starting role and shines. So what say you on who won the night between the two brands?
Yes, SmackDown won the night. They have a level of talent now that is remarkable compared to Raw. I'm looking at the list right now, and yeah, they've taken a great deal of talent from Raw. That all right, Jey Uso stays on Raw. Man, it's hard to comprehend. Like they're almost top heavy now, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I do think they have some depth though, and as you had discussed, it pointed out, and maybe in my case, I had suggested that it hadn't happened enough more recently, Veer Mahan, that potentially some storylines can actually develop here in over the next few months with some of the group. And so before we get into night 2, which is tonight.
Right.
I'm going to bring up a topic here that is near and dear to the hearts of many.
Okay.
Which is, tell me, you did not just say that.
Oh man, we talk about Booker T. We done marked Booker T all up over tonight's broadcast. Now we got tell me you did not just say that. Go ahead.
Exactly. You've done a fantastic job, by the way, of just like leading us right into this stuff. Tonight's you did not just say that comes from Damian Priest, whose nickname I will not repeat.
Okay. Thank you.
And he's asked about R-Truth.
Okay.
And he says, so Truth was fun.
Yeah.
Like a pet that, or like a toy that you're enjoying at first, and then it gets old. And then you throw it away and you get something else.
Yeah.
For us, Truth, we were having fun for a moment. But at the end of the day, we're the Judgment Day. We like to handle business a certain way, and we need to get back to that. We're champions. We're headliners. We're the most dominant faction, and we need to get back to that.
Okay.
What say you to Damian Priest calling R-Truth a pet or a toy?
I think it's disrespectful. I think it's shameful. I think it's 100% accurate.
What? Oh my God!
Oh,
no! Yeah. I didn't see that coming at all.
I mean, sometimes an insult could just be right. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Sometimes the insult could just be right. Tell me any of the following that's not true. Go ahead. I got some powder for this funnel cake
with Gunther, and now R-Truth.
What'd you say about Gunther?
You've had your run-ins with your hot takes on some of these guys, and now you're siding with Damian Priest on R-Truth?
Tell me what he said. Read that statement back again, and let's play a game of where's the lie. Go ahead, read the statement back again.
All right, so it's
from the World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay, all right. So again, Damian Priest on R-Truth saying, so R-Truth, he was fun. Yeah, like a pet that you have. Or like a toy that you get and you're enjoying it at first, but then it gets old and you throw it away and you get something else. For me, R-Truth was something like that. We were having fun for a minute, but at the end of the day, we're the Judgment Day. We like to handle business a certain way, and we need to get back to that. We're champions. We're headliners. We're the most dominant faction in the company, and we needed to get back to that.
Well, okay. Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
But wait a minute. Why is R-Truth preventing? If you're a champion, you're a headliner.
Yep.
How is it that R-Truth, lovable R-Truth, comedic R-Truth is merely deemed a sideshow?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say he ain't.
You have the awesome truth right now. Doesn't that defy those same words? He is a champion.
Do you
right
see
now.
the Miz in Judgment Day?
No.
Man.
Well, let me hang on. Maybe I misunderstood. Did you say, could I see the Miz in Judgment Day?
Yeah.
I mean, he has the personality for it.
Yeah, but who would be the leader? Because he definitely not playing second. Definitely not playing Scottie Pippen.
Well, it really would come down. Well, who's the leader now? Is it Finn or is it Damian?
Should be Damian. But
now,
it ain't.
Finn's had success, albeit he had the title for 5 seconds, but
yeah,
we kind of went down that conspiracy, street a little earlier.
Right. Exactly. Thank you, Mrs. Owl. No, you can't. So you let R-Truth. Yeah, you let R-Truth do his thing. You let R-Truth wander away and get with the Miz. And in terms of connecting, being a tag team and seeing that through till it finishes. But then you get back to business at hand. And you wait for the next you wait for Yeet to show up and
stop it.
Right. Right.
If we needed a break, you just need to say that. No,
yeah, you got other stuff to worry about.
We'll Yeet right back.
Jay Cunningham, you watching the Shop Report. I'm Army Diallo, and you watching the Shop Report.
My name's Chris Marine, you're watching the Shop Report.
Oh, you're Jay Knight, you're watching the Shop Report.
Max the Kid, you're dropping in on the Shop Report.
Barbershop Jay, Quentin Hines, Super Bowl champion. I'm ready. Let's do it. I'm on.
Hi, I'm Mars Man. We're from Mercury Stadium, and you're watching the Shock Report.
Hey, I'm Billy Butler, and thank you for watching the Shop Report. Hey guys, I'm Les Norman, former Kansas City Royal, and you're watching the Shop Report.
Commander Brown, Detroit Rivers Mountain Training, and I'm watching the Shop Report.
Hey, this is Doug Flynn of the New York Mets. Well, a few other teams, of course, too. And you're watching the Shop Report.
I'm Matt Ramos, and you're watching the Shop Report. How you doing? I'm Rajay Davis, and you're watching the Shop Report.
How you doing? This is Nelson Figueroa, former Major League pitcher with a lot of teams. You're about to listen to the Shop Report.
All right, just like that, we're back.
Yeah.
Look, R-Truth, the Miz, the Awesome Truth, our champions. Love them, hate them, think they're, but to literally just chop him down as comedic relief when he's holding a title. And you know what? Right now, 2/3 of the Judgment Day can't say the same. I'm a little surprised by this.
You surprised by my concurrence with Damian Priest?
Yes, I am, for a lot of reasons.
All right, tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me what he said. Like I said, where's the lie? Right. That's to say how they put it, like the meme you got with the guy that's sitting outside of the college campus with a controversial statement and he's drinking the tea. Change my mind. Change my mind. Exactly.
We may have to actually make that, by the way. It may have to say R-Truth is not comedic relief.
Well, no. What he said was there's no room for comedic relief in Judgment Day. That's what he said.
But he's a champion. There's a level of seriousness that, look, we're not talking Alpha Academy
He
here.
went for a pinfall in a ladder match, bro. Come on, man.
Fine. I'm gonna let that one go.
Come on, man. Imagine a Survivor Series matchup, and through it all, he ends up your last one on your team, right? Imagine. I'm just saying, what are you gonna get? Like, there's no room for that in Judgment Day. That's what I'm saying. And I get him on that. He is where he needs to be. Awesome Truth is where he needs to be. Matter of fact, was he ever in the beginning? Or did he identify as a Judgment Day member?
I mean, wait a minute now. I did look. If there is no real ceremony, to my knowledge, of to be indoctrinated into the Judgment Day.
I'll tell you what.
But JD, what did JD do? And he's R-Truth has accomplished more than JD McDonough has.
All right. JD McDonough know he a member. And
does he know? Because look, him and Finn were kind of doing this a little bit.
There be a bumping heads. Hey, that happens when you're part of a group and a team. You bump heads. But you get over it and you get through it. Or you find you find your way of going elsewhere. I'm saying it makes sense.
Wait a minute. And here's where I'm going to go with this because I love it. I freaking love it.
All right, go ahead.
You're never going to believe this.
All right, go ahead.
As we transition to tonight's Raw.
Yes.
To bring us in.
Yes.
Your U.S. champion.
United States champion. My guy. From
your guy?
Not quite Cleveland, Ohio. Go ahead.
Well, the Kelseys are from Cleveland Heights. Are you claiming them?
You see how they say Cleveland Heights? They know they from Cleveland.
Metro Detroit for you? Is that where you're going with that?
No. They from Cleveland Heights, and they say Cleveland Heights. They don't say they from Cleveland. They say from Cleveland Heights. So we know. I mean, Cleveland Heights is close enough. You know what I'm saying? Northeast Ohio. You know what I mean? The area code 440. You know, I get it. It's cool. They know their lane. They know where they from.
Well, look, I got my Cedar Point on.
There we go.
So enter your U.S. champion.
Yep.
Logan Paul, your guy, as you stated.
Yep.
His buddy, fully recovered. Okay. I show speed.
Yeah.
And would you believe it? The MVP of the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
And who were they greeted by?
Tell me. Dígame.
I can't make this up.
Okay.
The Judgment Day.
Whoa. Now, whoa.
Since I don't have the buttons.
They're not playing right now. They're not playing.
But this was not confrontational.
Okay.
This was celebratory. So you tell me in the hypocrisy scale.
A scale. Remember, I don't do big numbers when it comes to scales. 1 to 5. 1 to 5. This is probably a 3.
You're on record talking about a champion in R-Truth who may or may not be a member.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right.
But then our host calls him Fake Paul. I'm just using that universally in this case.
Right. I got you.
You got the YouTuber gang.
Yep.
And the Mahomie. and they're serious enough. And our Joker, Heath Ledger, why so serious? Now that's serious enough for Damian Priest?
Listen.
Make it make sense, Gully.
Right. For you to fraternize with, with other people, it's different from you having that representative of your own brand. You follow what I'm saying? Like, that's the difference.
What?
That's the difference.
Are you telling yourself that? Is it?
Listen,
are you really believe what you just said?
I'm telling you, I can associate with home. I can associate with homeboy. You get what I'm saying? I can associate with my guy, but I see his behavior. I see his moves. I can't have him. I can't recruit him as part of my team. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
I mean exactly what I said. Like I can respect you from afar. But when it gets time to get serious, when it's time for action to happen, where are you at? Do you even think you here? Or if I ask you what's 1 + 1, are you gonna tell me Wednesday? Right. Mrs. Alva, she from Detroit metropolitan area.
Not I, says the cat.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I get it. I get Damian Priest. I get his apprehension.
Look, I was with you. I was with you on your stance of R-Truth and his spin, and when he was rocking the mic at one point in time.
Oh yeah, no, I got you. Right, that all works with awesome truth.
And again, I can't take away someone's success, and then I'm going to say that, and then here I go with it. Oh, don't let Barbershop Jay see this, because if he would have seen that, he would have had a field day with the fact that he was talk about tongue in cheek, going and hanging out with again, albeit another champion, but certainly one that certainly raises some eyebrows far more than R-Truth. And if initially when I said that, I was surprised you didn't think that it was going to be confrontational, and that's why I noted, and kind of hesitated to acknowledge that it was very much a huge kumbaya going on.
Yeah, setting the standard, right? There's been a lot of that lately, huh?
Isn't that something?
Right.
But
right. It sure is.
What is this all about? So we get Becky Lynch. She kicks off the show. Liv Morgan, of course, on her revenge tour.
Yeah.
Interrupts, and then new SmackDown draftee Nia Jax interrupts again. And
as Mrs. Alva, is Nia Jax approved? Is Nia Jax approved for fandom? Does she pass is she on the approval list? Or do I gotta hate her like I do?
No. Her disdain for mommy, coincidentally, I do want to point this out, that Becky Lynch did say that she would not have the women's world title if it wasn't for what Liv did to mommy herself.
Right.
And what she did to Morgan a week ago. And so obviously the man just really rubbing it in, but certainly paying homage to the real champion here, which is unfortunately, mommy, who is recovering just fine.
Right.
It will be back soon with a revenge tour of her own.
Man, these revenge tours, I'm telling you, man, Survivor Series is going to be dope.
I completely agree with you, because we also had the return of a familiar face. And a little earlier, you mentioned Vince McMahon Jr. Unfortunately, that because Shane, has a sibling, of course, It was Stephanie McMahon who kicked off night 2 of the draft.
Ah, yeah, Stephanie.
So,
hey, she needs her flowers because all those years ago, Stephanie. Yeah, unless it was somebody else behind the scenes that chose to remain nameless, or unless she stole the credit, she made an emphasis at revitalizing and refreshing the presentation of women's wrestling as it pertains to WWE. You get what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah, but whoa! You really want to give her the flowers for that of all things? I think there were. If you remember, the women's division had fallen into just disrepair at one point in time.
Yeah, it did.
So was that not? If I recall, it was almost Triple H that went on record and said that we needed to overhaul this. And I can't remember who he brought in specifically to the Performance Center that we continue to reference. But they really did put in a lot of emphasis on that. And then, of course, you had the Divas show that really took off and allowed for, what was her name with the red hair? Red hair don't care. But many, of course, said she couldn't wrestle at all.
Not Mickie James.
No, don't do that to her.
Right, Mickie James. No. She deserves more credit than that.
But to keep things kind of moving along, the round 1 picks for this evening, Raw selected Imperium, which of course is only Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. SmackDown selected Jade. Of course, that's not really a surprise. Raw then selected Damage Control, and SmackDown selected Kevin Owens. Obviously, we talked about RKO. That is now absolutely in play. And, of course, Gunther had announced previously on last week's Raw that he was going into that King of the Ring tournament. So kudos to you on mentioning, bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But don't forget that the reigning king, which is Xavier Woods, is who ultimately kicked off the show as well. Gunther got him to tap. Thoughts?
Whoa. Wait a minute. Restate that? What did your boy Gunther do? That I still got to get on the wave?
So Gunther hit him at one point with a chop.
Yeah.
That it sounded like it echoed through the arena.
Like.
Right, like some Michael Myers type of stuff.
Right. Right.
I do, of course, again, when you get the King of the Ring, like Xavier Woods has, you always give them their flowers for that. As a singles competitor, I think he's often slept on.
Okay.
But he was able to, he tried to do the Boston Crab. And that's where, as far as Gunther did, and Kofi was actually ringside and tried to get him to throw in a towel.
Whoa.
And Xavier was kind of fighting that, but unfortunately he tapped out. So are we really, we talked about roughly kind of what's next for Gunther but this type of versatility, right? The chop doesn't surprise anybody. Obviously that vibration that was felt on the Richter scale did, but what do you think now that we're seeing more tools to this guy?
Hey, listen, I guess I'm here for it. Again, I gotta buy in. I want to buy in. I want to like.
Are you buying in yet, Gully? What do we gotta do?
I'm getting the fly. I'm getting the sampling, right? You know what I'm saying? At the grocery store, sampling with the little cup and a little maybe spoon. Okay, it's cool. Let me try another one. Okay. I think I like it. Let me see. Dude, now here's the question. I see the product, but it's on sale. Do I buy it? I think I might want to buy it because it may not be on sale the next time. So I think I might need to buy. I think I might need to get in on this.
Have you been watching Costco debunked videos? Because just because it's sampled actually doesn't mean it's full price.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. Just because it's sampled don't mean it tastes good like the official bottle. Okay, that's another thing. So, like I said, so my Gunther analogy is still in play. But I think I'm trying to get it. I got to watch a few more matches. But I tell you what, here's what we need.
All right.
Here's what we need. This is what we need. We need to figure out where we're gonna put this at. We need a fan poll. I need fans to tell me, because I want to buy into Gunther. I need fans to tell me, hey, give me Gunther's best matches, or give me the best promo he could. Like, give me
Are you serious?
Yeah. I need to see it because I gotta buy in. I want to respect it. I don't, but I want to see it. I just want to make sure that I'm not just becoming bitter in my old young age.
I'm with you on that. Look, I think he can cut a promo. He handles himself okay on the mic for me.
Okay.
But I am a little I love the mixed bag. I love that it wasn't just the chops and a boot. It was showing that there's, potentially you're a 5-tool player. And that's, dare I say, I'm rooting for this guy to get you to buy in. And so I like that he's showing the versatility.
Yes.
Because I believe the push is coming.
Okay. All right. Then. All right. So hopefully before the push comes, I'm signed on. I'm on board. So I need the fans to help me. Tell me. Give me Gunther's.
What do you want to know?
I need to see it. Tell me the.
We're going to create a post in the shop report for you. What do you want this?
You know what? Bring this comment up here, because listen. No, what I'm saying is, as you mature, sometimes your opinions harden. I still don't need Docalax. I still don't need to take my Metamucil for fiber. I'm still good, and I get up early. Well, see, getting up early, I guess it's not old age, but still, I've been doing that since 5. I'm okay. I'm not that old. Okay, I'm not that old yet, Mrs. Alva. You watch. You're getting older too. You just watch. One day it'll hit you.
We had some second round picks announced by your U.S. champion in I Show Speed. That was Raw selecting CM Punk. That was SmackDown selecting the Pride, which of course is Lashley and the Street Profits and B-Fab. Yep.
They remain at SmackDown. It looks like they were at SmackDown. They remain at SmackDown.
Yep. And Raw then followed up with Braun Strowman, and then SmackDown selected Tiffany Stratton.
Okay. Wait a minute. Oh, is the draft over?
It is after this evening, yes.
Okay. Well, like right now, currently.
Yes. Well, no, I still have some more to announce, so I can keep going if you want.
Okay, just want to make sure, because I know it's I got a page this update. I just want to make sure somebody didn't throw nothing in there like Brutus the Barber Beefcake got drafted to NXT. I just want to make sure I'm not looking at something that could be.
Well,
true.
Here's the thing. We talked a little bit about I Show Speed and Logan Paul, but what I haven't mentioned was, what are your thoughts on Patrick Mahomes being with those guys? Like, what do you think of heel Mahomes?
Hey, listen, I like it. Everybody don't have to be liked, right? Everybody doesn't have to be liked. But then
well, wait a minute. It hasn't that crown already been taken by the Cleveland Heights guy and his famous girlfriend?
Oh, you know what? You're right about that. Yeah, you're right.
And we've seen his brother, coincidentally, at Mania.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are they all? Well, no. Jason Kelsey wouldn't have been deemed a heel in that respect. So
no, he wouldn't have been. Right. He actually helped regulate the match. Yeah. I don't know, bro. Like I still think it's all right. Heel Mahomes. I like it. I like it. I love it.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
During the promo as well, or during the kind of that the pick selection.
Yep.
Logan did a promo on Jey Uso saying he doesn't stand a chance against Damian Priest at Backlash.
Oh, he trying to lobby his way into that. I hope he does. I hope he gets smashed in the face. Unless that's meant to bring attention from Damian Priest back to Logan Paul, in which case Jey Uso will be a United States heavyweight champion.
So let's I'm going to follow this up with Uso then interrupted, only to find himself on the receiving end of a beatdown at the hands of the Judgment Days, JD and Finn.
Right. It's like, we don't need your help. That's basically what they said.
Paul grabbed Patrick Mahomes' 3 Super Bowl rings and attempted to lay Uso out with them, but then, of course, he hit JD.
Oh.
Then Braun Strowman made the save, laying Finn, laid Finn out, and then, of course, chased Logan out of the building.
Yeah.
So Mahomes allowing Logan to use his Super Bowl rings as a weapon.
They tell me there's 3 copies of the rings
now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they tell me there's 3 copies of the rings at home, first of all. Yeah, he got the show money. He got the show money, but now, he got to go where Mahomes kept it, where it's more money at home. You know what I'm saying? That's interesting. That is interesting for it to go to that level, that depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still like it.
So what's interesting to me, though, is that Uso and Strowman, because if you remember, I don't ever recall Roman beating him.
Right. They were all like DQs and some type of technicality. Wait a minute. What about the ambulance match?
I would have to go back. That's the interesting thing. I can't say conclusively, but I could have swore he never actually beat him, which would be just incredible. But we had Sami Zayn, champion Sami Zayn, of course, against Big Bronson Reed. Remember that a while ago?
Yeah. Not too long ago. Not too long ago.
Now, what if I told you?
Okay.
That Sami Zayn wins, but when Big Bronson Reed was going to kind of get potentially a pinfall.
Okay.
Chad Gable.
Dark Gable.
Yeah. Beats both down. Only for the latter to, of course, win via disqualification.
Right. Put it in your mind. You wouldn't have won this without me. That's that's how you do it. You help the guy that you hate win, and then tell him you couldn't have done it without me.
Well, but here's the thing, because it went just by his interference, right? He's hitting Sami Zayn, and it cost Bronson Reed the match.
Man, I tell you.
Yep.
I like it, bro.
I'm with you.
I like it.
Round 3.
Round 3.
Raw gets the LWO, which includes all of them, even though half have turned on.
Right. Well, it gives what's remaining. Right.
Well, no, it included Carlito. It was literally like everybody. It was like, if you're, this.
When did Carlito make the swerve then?
Just last week.
So despite swerving on the group, he on Raw now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see how that'll work.
SmackDown then selects the Legado del Fantasma, which of course is Santos, Angel, Berto, and Elektra Lopez.
Yeah. So
So that group of misfits of once LWO then goes the other way. Raw then selects Drew McIntyre, and SmackDown concludes that round with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yes, Shinsuke. Yeah, I want to see what more he got in the tank, man.
Well, again, he had 3 matches against Cody Rhodes like a week ago.
Yeah, but I wonder what those look like on the screen, though. See,
well, and it said, "There's my missed opportunity."
Nah, not necessarily, man. Because I'm gonna tell you like this. All right, I'm put it this way. Who was it? We go all the way back to house shows in WCW. I was a house show at the CSU Convocation Center before the name had changed. Sting actually in the dark match. Sting wrestled Bret Hart to a pinfall. Sting actually got over on Bret Hart. People didn't believe that Sting was actually back yet. When I went to school, told my friends the next day, they did not believe. They would not have any of it. I'm like, I said Sting was there. I saw him and this and that. And they wouldn't believe. They wouldn't have any of it. Match was pretty good. It should have led to something greater. But that's what house shows do. You get your stars. You get to see them kind of do their thing. And then you'll have momentum to go for it whenever you see them on Raw in television, under the bigger lights, or on SmackDown on television under the bigger lights, or the pay-per-views. So I'm not upset that I might have missed several house shows before that where champions were fighting, were wrestling champions, or guys who were on the injured reserve were wrestling guys that are active. I'm not mad at it, as an adult, because I can respect what it's for, the build up. So for me, no, I ain't upset about that.
Well, who was upset was Drew McIntyre, not to the surprise or chagrin of probably either of us. But what caught me by surprise was he, in the middle of his rant, because apparently being a 3rd round pick was a slight to him, CM Punk, who now is on TV, from the skybox, said, I'm not far away. Come find me, you little B word. And so sounds like we might see an encounter or two between the two of them. And it leads to my next question here.
Okay.
We brought up, could we be headed towards the Attitude Era? And is WWE for everyone now WWE PG13? My thoughts are this.
Okay.
We had The Rock serve as your plant in tester, your litmus test.
Yes.
When he had that profanity-laced press conference that was just, I mean, you talked about, trying something. Right. No way, you hadn't eaten in months, and you were just, to quote Tyrese in Too Fast, Too Furious, we hungry. Only to be followed up by, I mentioned Kevin Owens, with him getting that beat down with the blood, right? And we had Cody Rhodes, of course, with the Mama Rhodes belt that it contained, some red blood cells as well. now CM Punk pushing the envelope with an expletive. Are we quickly, and maybe not so quickly, starting to tread water with that? What say you?
Yeah, a edgier product, a more slightly adult themed product. It reminds me of what, I mean, we clearly see who's the head of creative, right? Going back to his prime element.
Can you believe that? The anarchy guys running the show now?
Yeah, right. Getting back to the way things used to be, right? Until they figure out them chair shots don't hit the same the next morning. Right?
Well, I remember the days of Val Venus and Sable.
Hello, ladies. Right.
And what was the gentleman who had a certain train that wasn't the Purdue train? But so we'll see if how far they push the envelope.
Yeah. Right.
Ray did do a promo on Carlito's betrayal, and of course Dominic interrupted, and naturally that cut to commercial. Of course, Drew McIntyre went to go look for CM Punk.
Yeah.
Ultimately found him.
Yep.
And at which point, Punk then cut a promo on him.
Yes.
And so that leads into our fourth and final round of the, which was actually done by, oh gosh, I want to say not the Dudley Boys. Oh, that's going to about APA announced some picks. And so we got Raw selecting the Judgment Day, which included JD, but not R-Truth.
Right.
SmackDown selected Naomi. Raw selected NXT Ilya Dragunov. That is likely going to be your third member of Imperium.
Okay.
And then SmackDown selected both Chelsea Green and Piper as well.
Let's see. Again, another NXT call up to Raw. Why didn't it go the other way, OJ? What happened?
I apologize. We had one more round, and that was Raw selecting the New Day. We had SmackDown selecting Pretty Deadly.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Raw selecting the New Day. Yep. Okay.
Yep. SmackDown then followed with Pretty Deadly. Raw selected NXT's Lyra Valkyria, and then SmackDown selected Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And ultimately, the Awesome Truth beat the Alpha Academy after that.
All right. New Day staying on Raw. Hey, by the way, you know what? They were in Columbus. And my buddy actually met with them. They were shopping at the sporting goods store, and my buddy was there. And I was away from my phone, so I didn't miss it. My chance for a star encounter, I missed it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, you missed it.
Speaking of missed it, he sure did. And with any final thoughts on the draft night too, other than of course no one going down to NXT, as you call it that way.
Yeah, exactly. No one went to the but understand though, what I'm saying is there are talent that is proving ready and they're moving up. So hey, I'm not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. Who do you think stands the most to gain from the brand change, right? What Raw to SmackDown superstar or stable do you think is going to benefit the most from moving? That's a question for you.
For me, I still think it's going to be Gunther. I think now you get a fresh new face with Imperium, and
but he stays at Raw though.
Well, and that's what I mean. That but you had the addition, right?
Okay. Okay.
I guess I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying Kevin Owens, but that's as a duo with Randy. And as far as their ceiling, that's to be determined. I could easily see them knocking off, the Awesome Truth.
Yeah.
Again, insert tag team here, and it'll be interesting to see. That's a pretty lethal combo.
That is because, I mean, they, in the ring, it's not a lot that they don't do, well. You get what I'm saying? That's not a lot that they don't do well. And they're very sudden and sneaky. I'm telling you, man, you have somebody like Randy Orton in your corner. You're free to do a whole lot of other things because he can handle. I mean, he can handle everything else. He's fast, he's powerful, he's quick, and he's a bigger body, than people think. Even as slender as he is compared to the other guys that he came up with, like Cena and Batista and Brock. Man, he's a complete package with a persona. He can work a mic and he can watch your back, but then he can turn on you too. A boot to the face has no name.
Agreed. And with that, I leave you with no quote other than we'll see you on Wednesday. And as always, if you want to know what's really going on at the shop,
come to the shop. If you really don't want to know what's going on, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.
Holla.